today we're going to be talking about books for your full TBR, some that are on my TBR and some I've read so I know they're really good. I'm going to intertwine these recommendations with questions from the Cozy Autumn book tag, which is by the Book Bell, and if you don't follow her already, you should really follow her. She does great videos. And anyway, if you're anything like me, I'm sure you've been watching a ton of these kind of videos. I've been preparing and getting very excited for fall for a while, so I'm going to try and include some books that you might not have heard of or books you might not have thought of for your full TBR. Some underrated finds, because I've spent so long trawling socials, trawling Goodreads to find these books. I'm also going to make sure to mention to you guys which ones are on Kindle Unlimited, because a bunch are. Anyway, I need to stop talking and get into it because I have over 20 plus book recommendations for you guys, so let's start. Okay, starting off with a question from the Cozy Autumn book tag. What book always reminds you of fall/autumn? Okay, so I have the Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston here. This is a very well-loved copy. It has all my tabbing with washi tape in it, highlighted as well, and it does have quite a bit of sun damage. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I love this book. I read it in 2022 and it's just such a beautiful book. The female main character is a ghostwriter and I believe she has writer's block, and then the male main character is a ghost and I'm pretty sure he's also her book editor. So the female main character, who's called Florence, goes back to her small town where her family owns a funeral parlor. There's a lot of conversations about grief and death, but I think it's done really, really well. I would describe this as a spooky romance meets Southern Gothic. And the next book I want to mention to you guys is a YA fantasy, and this is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This is a super atmospheric, gothic, like I said, YA fantasy with some romance, and it is set in autumn. And I've heard someone describe this as Bridgerton meets dark fantasy, and I think that's such a good description. The female main character, Signa, can see ghosts and she can sort of communicate with dead people, but she can also see sort of death himself, and the male main character is death. So it's a really good book if you're into that. I think the third one just came out, so I want to pick that up soon. The next question is, what is your favorite autumnal drink to read with? I'm definitely like, I love hot chocolate, I love coffee, but my favorite drink for reading has to be tea. I just love a good cup of tea. Obviously, like a classic English breakfast is always up there, but for autumn I have this tea. It's called apple spice tea, and I still have my pack from last year, but I'm running low, so I have to go pick up some more of those soon. But that is my favorite fall drink to read with. What are your favorite autumnal book covers? Now, sadly, I don't actually have any of these in person, and there are so many books I could say for this. I love so many book covers and my bookshelf is full of beautiful covers, but particularly thinking about autumnal really good book covers, I wanted to mention these. So first of all, A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. This is a dark academia fantasy with an eerie vibe. It's set on this grand estate. I think the cover is gorgeous and I'm so excited to read this. The physical cover looks amazing, but it is also on Kindle Unlimited. Then there is Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. I have a friend who's reading this at the moment and she said amazing things about it. The female main character is a comedian and it involves fake dating, and I believe it's a workplace friends to lovers. And I follow this cover artist on Instagram. I love all of her covers, but I thought this was a really good autumnal example. Talking about this cover artist, BK Borison's Business Casual, I believe is done by the same artist. Again, like I said, I love this style, and I read this in August as an ARC. It was an incredible book. It was 5 stars. I think this was my favorite in the Love Light Farm series. It is the last book in that series, and if you don't know, each book follows a different season. The first one is winter, then we have spring, summer, and the last one is autumn. You can pick this up as a standalone, but I highly recommend reading the whole series. It makes every book so much better. But this one is a small town, friends to lovers, opposites attract. The guy's from a big city, the girl is from a small town. She's a tattoo artist. I think he's in like banking or finance or something. This was so good and it's one of my favorite reads this year. Then I have Ghost Walk by Cassandra Gannett. This is a Kindle Unlimited paranormal fantasy romance, I think is the only way to describe it. It's basically set in this town. It's a historical reenactment town in America. The town in the book is fictional, but I believe it's based on colonial Williamsburg. I've never been, so I wouldn't know, but I'm pretty sure. And all of her covers are so gorgeous. I believe some of them used to have different styles, and then she went through and redid them all to this style, and as you can see, so pretty. So the male main character is a ghost, and he's actually from, like, again, I don't know too much about American history, but from, I want to say, the 18th century. And the female main character can see ghosts, but she's had a mental breakdown and she's working as like a ghost tour guide, and she meets the male main character. They have to go back and solve his murder, which was a mystery from 200 years ago. Now, being a ghost romance, I thought this would be a perfect autumnal read, but I did actually pick this up in July because it is actually technically set around the 4th of July, although when I was reading it, I definitely thought this gave off more autumnal vibes, although it is set in the summer, so it is perfect for this time of year. Now, like I said, I am going to be intertwining just other recommendations with this because I just want to tell you guys about so many different fall books for your TBR. These are just some other recommendations, although they could could fit into some of the other prompts like this first one. I really love the cover on this, but that is the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. It is a small town fall romance, and it is the sequel to the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I read last year, and I believe it has a bit of a cozy mystery in it. I have to be honest, I didn't love the first book in this series, so I wasn't sure about picking up the second one, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I think I am going to pick this up this year, and I'm so excited to read it. Then we have Pumpkin Everything by Bethel LeBont. This is a small town romance. It is a quick read, under 200 pages, and the description literally says it was turned into a Hallmark movie, but is perfect for those small town, autumnal, cozy romance vibes. Then we have Deja Brew by Celeste Martin. This is a cozy and witchy romance. The female main character is a kitchen witch, and it is a second chance friends to lovers romance, and the premise is kind of that the female main character gets to the end of October and she realizes she didn't have a very good autumn, and she makes a wish and has to repeat the whole month of October. So it's got a little bit of like a Groundhog Day element. So I'm very excited to pick that up this fall. And now on to the next question, and that is, do you prefer reading late at night or early in the morning? I really love both, but to be honest, and I actually have a lot to say about this because yesterday I woke up like kind of early and I was like, oh, I'm gonna read a bit before I get up, and I was in bed for hours. I got really into the book, which is great. We love a good book, but it does cut into my day a lot. I much prefer like an afternoon and particularly a late night read. Like, let's be honest, I'm definitely staying up late reading a book. I prefer to like get up and start my day, because if I start reading I will just get so swept up and not want to do anything else. Halloween's coming. What is your favorite spooky read? Now I have to be honest, I don't read a lot of spooky books because I get freaked out kind of easily, but I do want to read more, and I feel like obviously October, fall is the perfect time for it. But I do want to call out the I'm forgetting the name of the series, but the first one is Indigo Ridge by Daphne Perry, and it is like a romance with a suspense, like mystery element, and the female main character is like the head of police, and she moves to this small town to work in the police force there. The male main character is like kind of part of the family that's like a really big part of the town, so he gets involved with the police investigation. I think maybe one of the crimes happens on his property or something like that, but there is definitely like, I remember being scared, but then again, I'm very easily scared, but I remember being slightly scared reading this. There's like a murder mystery kind of element, but it is still like a small town romance, so that is really good. Some ones on my TBR are If We Were Villains by ML Rio, which is a dark academia thriller mystery, I believe. Then there is The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz, which I do have here. I got this off Book Outlet, and just so you guys know, there is always a link below in my description for you guys to get $5 off Book Outlet, which is not sponsored, it's just I guess like a referral link. Anyway, this is one of the books I got. It is in perfect condition, as you can see, and this is about a group of writers go on a writing retreat, and it's like to a cabin in the forest, and I believe it's in the snow, so I'm probably going to read this towards the end of October / early November, and it's in upstate New York, and it's a thriller. Then we have If I Stopped Haunting You by Colby Wilkins. This is described as a horror romance, so I'm really excited to try this out. Definitely going to read it in October, I think, and it is set on a Scottish writing retreat, but it is rival authors who are staying together on this writing retreat in a haunted castle. But I've never read a book which has been described as like a horror before, so I'm really excited to read this one. And then also for spooky reads, less so scary reads, I wanted to mention my current read, which is Go Hex Yourself, and this is a paranormal rom-com. I definitely wouldn't call this scary by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some like spooky elements, and the male main character is a warlock, the female main character is like a familiar or an assistant to his aunt, who is like the head of a coven. And the reason I call this spooky is because there are witches, but it's not like cozy witches per se, it's definitely like witchy witches, which I really like, which I think makes it a little bit more like spooky and like really witchy vibe rather than like cozy small town kitchen witch, like that vibe. But I'm reading that in the minute. I'm about 3/4 of the way in, and I'm absolutely loving it. Okay, getting into some other full recommendations quickly. I wanted to tell you guys about the Cozy Creek series. It is all written by different authors, but it is set in this one autumnal small town, and I think there's 6 books and they just came out. All the books are standalone, so you don't have to pick them up in order. I did actually pick up one of the books in this series. I didn't love it, but I am going to continue on with the series because, like I said, they're each written by different authors, so it's not that the book was bad. I was literally telling my friend the other day about some stuff in it I thought was really good, but because they're all written by different authors, they all have different styles, and like some might appeal to you and some of the tropes might appeal to you more than others, but I will put them all up on screen here. If you're looking for cozy, full, small town romance, look no further than here and just have a look through the list and see which ones appeal to you. And then there's also this book which I just got as an ARC, back and I'm so excited to read, and that is Can't Help Falling in Love by Sophie Sullivan. It is set in fall in Seattle. It is an opposites attract fake engagement rom-com, and like I said, it's set in Seattle. Like, how cute is that? And also my first ever trip to the US was to Seattle in the fall, so hopefully it's going to be a little bit nostalgic for me. Then we have Dukes and Deeks by Tori Jean. This is a contemporary romance with a historical twist. It's a friends to lovers. The male main character is a hockey player and the female main character is involved in a Jane Austen reenactment at this big historical house. It's basically like a Regency fair. I think the guy has like a scandal and so he goes to hang out with her at the Regency fair. So it is contemporary, but it has all this fun historical elements, and it is set in the fall as far as I know. The cover looks very autumnal. I'm very excited for it. And then we have Perfectly Wicked by Lindsay Levis, I think it's pronounced. So the female main character lets the male main character come film a ghost hunting TV show at her apparently haunted cider farm, and this is to save the farm because they need money. Really, she's trying to cover up a secret, which is instead of ghosts, her family is all witches and they're the ones who own the farm. I think this is such a fun like autumnal cider but also witchy kind of romance. Hopefully it's going to be really good. And then we're on to the next question, which is what is your favorite autumnal reading snack? Now for me it is anything apples, but particularly I've been really into this thing which I call apple nachos, and you just like thinly slice apples into like kind of chip shapes. I love peanut butter, but also almond butter works so well, and then sometimes I'll do chips of dark chocolate on top, and that is one of my favorite reading snacks. Okay, the next prompt is what is the ultimate comfort read for me? Okay, so I'm gonna do one that's very nostalgic, and that is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. This is a perfect fall read, and this is one of the books that got me into reading. Very nostalgic. I barely ever reread books, but this is one of the series I have reread fully before, and it is one of my original favorites. But something more recent, which is my comfort series, is the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. This is the last book in the series, but this is the only one I have physically, so I wanted to show it to you guys. It is a Western style small town romance set in Alberta in Canada, and I believe, yeah, this is the 5th book in the series, and then this is completed, and then there are 2 spin-off series, one prequel and one sequel. But this series is just so comforting to me. I absolutely love it. The books are incredible, and Hopeless is my favorite one. This is the last one. But yeah, if you haven't read anything by Elsie Silver, she is one of my comfort authors. Okay, the next question is what is your favorite candle to burn while reading? And I actually have one of my favorite scents here. This is Leaves by Bath & Body Works, which is probably my favorite Bath & Body Works candle, and I love this, what do you call it? I guess like the skin on it here. It's so pretty. But then obviously for less commercial scents, I also buy a lot of candles from small businesses. So for me, anything like apple or like chai or like foresty scented are my favorite scents. If you watch my last vlog, which if you like this you definitely should, it's all about getting ready and set up and reset for autumn, plan out stuff, and I do a couple hauls and we do some decor and stuff with you guys, so you'll see all about the decor. And I do a little haul of some candles I got, and I have this one from a small business that I got from a local farmer's market, but that is in the other room and it is apple orchard scented and it smells so good. This next question is when you're not reading, what is your favorite autumnal activity? Now if you guys follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I think you know this, but that is exploring. So exploring small towns, going apple picking, going on hikes, going on walks, trying new seasonal foods and drinks. That is kind of like my favorite thing to do all the time, but particularly in fall it's just the best time for it. So yeah, I don't know if that counts as like an autumnal hobby, but that is mine. Okay, and last but not least, what is on your fall/autumn TBR? So many of these books, if I haven't read them already, are on my TBR. I have like 170 books on my Goodreads full TBR, but my narrowed down version is majority of this video. But 2 others that I haven't mentioned that I want to tell you guys about. There is The Coven by Harper L. Woods, which is a gothic dark academia paranormal romance set at a university. There are witches, demons, and a mystery. I received an ARC of this and I'm so excited to read it. I think fall is going to be the perfect time to do that. Then we also have A Pumpkin Patch Fling by Starla de Croft. This book has a female main character who is a famous singer, and I believe she's on tour and she gets a vocal injury, so she has to get sent back to her small town to recover. And back in the small town, her family owns a pumpkin patch, and the male main character works at her family's farm, and I believe there's a bit of a thing with like a rival pumpkin patch popping up and they have to deal with that. And also this book is on Kindle Unlimited. That was a lot of talking, but there are so many good books to read this fall. I really hope I told you guys about some books that you maybe didn't know already, or just sort of widened your horizons on your fall TBR. I really hope you enjoyed this list of autumnal romance books, and if you have any recommendations for me, leave them down below. And if you like this video, please do leave a like and subscribe because I'd love to see you guys next time, and thank you so much again for watching.